Good morning. Hello, this is Josh. Another early morning recording here at Rockland Lake State Park. And these are the first words coming out of my mouth today, so buckle up. This is just a grab bag today, just a few things, spoilers for a couple of recent things to say. I think basically I just want to talk Deadpool spoilers and theories and observations, and also a little more about Trap. So if you haven't seen either of these movies, maybe you want to see them before you hear me spoil them and think about them too much. And then maybe a couple other little housekeeping things. You may have noticed recently that I'm leaning into these kind of tossed off unedited videos where I'm just recording them. In a lot of cases, I'm recording them and uploading them immediately to Patreon for my faithful pals over there. And then sometimes forgetting until weeks later to then also put them on YouTube. So if you want to keep abreast of this stuff, join us over on Patreon. Yeah, that's the sales pitch, but it's also just the facts about, whatever. But so yeah, the slickness, I made opening titles and I used to edit these and put graphics on them, and I may do that again, but my life is in a place where this suits me better the way things are going right now, to just be able to get something out. And I kind of like the spur of the moment nature too, knowing that I'm not going to edit. I have to be a little bit more cogent with my thoughts. So anyway, I'll talk a little bit more about that stuff maybe at the end of the video as well. Okay, so Deadpool and Wolverine. All the spoilers are out there now. There's like reels that are just out of context spoilers for this movie. So it's kind of like, I think even people who haven't seen the movie know most of the big stuff. There's a lot of Fox, X-Men, Daredevil, early 2000s stuff in the movie. And then, of course, there's the big MCU cameo, which is a subverted cameo from Chris Evans, which is all fun, all great. That's all fine. It is what it is. I fear that this movie is one of those zeitgeisty things where it hits in the theater. I've seen it twice now, not because I love it so much. It just worked out, that I had time to see another movie, but there was nothing convenient. So I watched it again and I enjoyed it again. But I can tell already this is the kind of movie that, 5 or 6 years down the road, you'll remember the fun, but it's not going to hold up so great as a movie. It's kind of a critique-proof franchise and movie, right? It's winky, it's fourth wall breaking, it's commenting on itself and its own flaws, so as if to stave off any criticism. But I do have a criticism of the franchise and of the third movie in particular. I watched the first two fairly recently just to revisit, because it's been, it's a long time in between installments here, and I forgot how very 20th Century Fox, in association with Marvel, how those felt. Like they're very dark. Like, of course there's the R rating and the jokiness and the language, but the new one is so much more MCU. It's so much, the colors are bright and it's just constant fun surprises. Whereas you watch the old ones and they're pretty grim. They're violent and more depraved. It feels like the new one is shocking because it's in this kind of Disney MCU candy-colored packaging. But there's actually, I think, more grit and more gross and depraved stuff in the other two Deadpool movies. But they're also kind of unpleasant. If you take them away from the zeitgeist of their time and you watch them now, it's there's funny stuff in here and you can see the seeds of what was entertaining about this. And you also see a lot of the seeds of Deadpool and Wolverine in there. Specifically in Deadpool 2, they basically promised Deadpool and Wolverine. I forgot about that. How it's that movie opens with a Logan reference and then ends with Hugh Jackman basically promising to do this movie. Anyway, so all that is to say, if I have a critique of the whole thing, it's that if there is any kind of emotional heart and center to this winky, critique-proof, unself-serious franchise, it is Wade Wilson's romance with Vanessa, right? And that's the thing that's really messed up about Deadpool and Wolverine, is that Vanessa is just kind of disserviced as a character, and she's in 2 scenes. So the original Deadpool is about the relationship of these 2 people and the passionate romance and love between Wade and Vanessa is what is the impetus for the circumstances which lead him to become Deadpool, at which point he has to leave her, but then he has to rescue her, and then she chooses to be with him. Their relationship is the center of that movie. And then in Deadpool 2, she dies, and his entire thing is that he wants to die and go be with her because they have this love for the ages. And then over the end credits, he cheats with a time machine and brings her back. And they were going to start a family and everything. So in Deadpool 3, just from the trajectory of the first 2 movies, they should have a child, they should be married or together, they should have a household, but no, they broke up. She dumped him. She friend zoned him because he doesn't matter and he doesn't do anything. I look atrocious. My hair is really muffiny today. I should probably groom myself before making videos of myself. So I think I understand why. It's probably because when they broke the story and they realized this kind of had to be a bromance between Logan and Deadpool, there was probably no room for another emotional center, right? So they make it about my friends, this picture of all my friends, including her, but not just her. I don't get. I guess I get it because that would have made him even more complicated emotionally or what. I don't know. It would make a lot more sense if Morena Baccarin, who plays Vanessa, wasn't available or didn't come back, but she's here, and she's just in 2 brief scenes where she's calling him buddy, and he's all friend zoned, and then in the end, she's like, "Okay, you saved the timeline. Yeah, I like you." What? I know it's critique proof. I know it doesn't. It's Deadpool, so it doesn't matter. But again, this is the only actual emotional thread and heart that these movies have. And that's a really weird decision to me, to do that. Don't even have her back then. Have her, but I guess they had to bring her back because he brought her back to life over the end credits of Deadpool 2. So I don't know. You know what? I forgive it all because of Rob Delaney's presence and that there was so much more Peter in Deadpool and Wolverine. So and that's great. Anyway, that's it. That's enough about Deadpool. These movies, it'll be weird to come back in 6 or 8 years and watch this movie and be like, oh, can you imagine looking at 2024 and saying, oh, those bygone simple days of 2024, but we'll be there. Who knows where we'll be at that point. Anyway, Shudder. Okay, so Trap. I want to say a couple more things about Trap. First of all, I did mention in my review that Haley Mills is in it, but only after recording my review. It's very strange. Haley Mills, who's 80 something, and I didn't know was still acting. She was, for those who don't know, she was a child star, in a lot of Disney movies, like The Parent Trap. She was this very famous young child actor in the 60s. And she is in the new M. Night Shyamalan movie, and she's not playing a kindly old grandma. She's playing a hard-boiled FBI profiler, but she has almost no role. She's just always almost catching Josh Hartnett at this concert. She's always around the corner, but it's a very passive role. She's just standing there with a walkie-talkie and usually shot from the back. And then she has a little bit of business later on, but it never connects her to anything. Her presence is baffling and feels like a stunt. And only after I recorded my review was I oh, it's called Trap. Her most famous movie as a child actor was The Parent Trap. Is that really why? Is that the joke? Is that why she's here? And I don't know. M. Night Shyamalan is not he's not fully jokey, but I think he has fun doing, so maybe that's it. I don't know. One other thing about this movie. I was talking to my buddy Dan, if you remember my movie podcast, Holds Up. He was the co-host on that show. And we still talk about movies a lot. And we were kind of talking about some of the discourse around Trap and some of the theories, and we were kind of contributing our own. And this is what we came up with to make this movie better. All right, so this is I didn't spoil much. I didn't spoil anything in my review, but essentially he is a serial killer who is entrapped at this this public venue, this concert. He gets out of there by threatening pop star Lady Raven, played by Suleika Shyamalan. And he basically, it's like a battle of wits between him and this pop star for the last act of the movie, until she kind of falls out of the movie, and then it's just him versus his family. And the big twist, spoiler alert, skip ahead if you don't want to know, it's not a twist, it's just the revelation is that his wife, Alison Pill, who from Star Trek Picard, is the one who tipped the police off. It's very confusing, this revelation, because we didn't even meet this character until very late in the film. It's not like we know the wife throughout the whole movie. And it only raises questions. She tipped them off, but not specifically. She gave them a piece of a receipt and said, it's a man. So that's all she said. So at this concert, the police are just pulling out every like appropriately aged man and like grilling them, or something is happening, and they're getting closer and closer to him, and he's nervous. But like, if a wife suspected her husband of being a killer and wanted to turn him in, why would she do it? I know maybe because there's a part of her that doesn't want him to get caught, but it's a very strange reveal. And so this is the solution to rewrite this movie. It's that, he's at this concert with his young daughter. They're bonding. He actually seems like an okay dad because he's compartmentalized his life into serial killing and suburban dad life. This is not the movie that Knight made, so it's not fair to critique him for not making it, but this might be better. This idea that, what if either, some people have said, what if the daughter was the one who knew, and she, she orchestrated all of this so that he would get caught. But we've plussed that up. What if she is helping him? What if she aspires, like a 13-year-old kid, but what if she knows about it, and she aspires to, it would be so twisted, but it would be like daring. It would be a bold move that she's like, tipping him off, and that she is like helping him out, and she's like coming into her own, being like daddy's little assistant serial killer. Not only would that be interesting and subversive and pay off in ways in the third act, potentially, where he escapes from the police in the end by like taking something off of her bicycle. But what if Dan's idea was, what if she like slipped that to him? What if she helps? And here's the icing on the cake why this would be better. Not only it would be more interesting, it would be more subversive and bold, but also it would be meta commentary on the film itself, because it's about a daughter getting involved in daddy's family business, just like Suleika Shyamalan starring in this movie. It's dumb to critique a movie based on what it is not. But Trapped being so straightforward, which is what some people find refreshing about it, and some people are let down by. But that's just a thought. And I fear that I didn't even explain that very well because of my state, because I am tired, and it's 5 a.m. Well, it's like 6 now, and the sun's come up. But anyway, there's probably other things to say about that weird movie, but I'll leave that there. So I had raised the idea in a previous video about doing some kind of project based on basically like parsing out the way movies portray religion, in particular Christian religion, just because that's my area of expertise. So I would stick to that. Maybe if I do something with this and it goes somewhere, maybe then I would branch out, but then I would need to involve other people, because I'm not an expert on other religions. And I'm not an expert on Christianity. I'm just experienced. I have firsthand experience, and I have opinions about these things. So I had the idea, I thought about it since that video, and I have the notion to maybe think about doing like a little short season of a podcast, like a special event podcast, where I pick like 8 or 10 movies in which religion plays some kind of a role. And it could be any various thing. Like I've thought about things like from like Frailty, Bill Paxton's movie, Aronofsky's Noah, or even something like The Mist, where there's a character who's defined by religiousness. And I have opinions about the portrayals of people, the way movies portray religion and use it conveniently in their stories. And I have a list somewhere that I've made of maybe the potential list of movies for the first season. But so this idea has stuck with me, and it feels like audio might be the right move, because then I can just kind of like piece it together at my leisure and think, and I can maybe even include some other perspectives and some conversations with other people. We're going to see what this turns into, but I kept thinking about it, and I feel like there's something to it. So we'll see. I'll keep you updated. Meanwhile, it is August, so it's a new month. I'm going to keep talking about the movies I see. I've got a couple tickets for this week already. I am going to do some riffing and some more of these kind of conversational videos. But that's more than enough time for today. I thank you for your time. Thanks for listening. I'm interested to know, did you see these movies? Do you have ideas? What do you think about my dumb ideas? And I will talk to you again very soon. Have a good day. Josh out.